This video is brought to you by Factor, the best online food delivery service, ready and prepared for you by their own gourmet chefs. Makes everything easier, don't have to do grocery shopping, don't have to go anywhere, don't have to order out. Eating has never come easier. You don't have to put anything together, you don't have to plan anything other than just ordering what you want. It comes to your door, you warm it up, and you start eating, and that's it. Entire meals, and they're quite delicious as well. For this one, what did I get? I got the smoky Gouda chicken, probably pronounced that wrong, as I do always. I actually never had that one before. Honey mustard pork chop, never had that one either. And what else did I get here? Another smoky Gouda chicken. Okay, so if I remember correctly, that one looked pretty decent when I ordered it. I'm gonna try one of those out, as you can see here, but the plastic's over it. So, poke some holes, put it in to warm it up for like a minute or two, and you can warm up your food any way you want. If you're a barbarian like me, a microwave, you could do an air fryer, you can warm it up under a fire outside. No, probably don't do that. And they also come with really good drinks. So I usually get their protein shakes. Good enough protein. Usually after a workout, I take one of these. And Factor is generally what I eat after a workout. It has all the nutritions I need. And here you can see the food looks really, really good. And it tastes amazing as well. So I highly recommend you guys to get some Factor. There's a plethora of a menu. A lot of good stuff. Different kinds of diets you can go on. From a protein plus diet. Calorie smart. A lot of people these days need that. The blobs on heavyweight definitely should start ordering some Factor. And you can get yourself 50% off your first box by clicking the link in the description below. Or go to factor75.com and use the promo code TheWeasel50. Again, if you click the link, use the promo code, you'll get 50% off your first box. I'm telling you guys, it's absolutely worth it, at least the first one. It's some really good food, man. What's up, guys? UFC 302 just wrapped up. It's very late. The card went very, very long because all the fights almost went to a decision on the main card. Islam was able to secure the finish in the 5th round, and Kevin Holland did get that first round submission. Insane armbar on Michal Oleksiejczuk. So the main event was good. Almeida gained the submission in the first round was great. Kevin Holland as well. Rennie Brown's fight was okay. Gall and Bassil Hafez, by far the best fight of the entire card. Not even close. Except the main event, actually. The main event was really, really good as well. But Gall and Bassil Hafez, I think, was the fight of the night. I even think Ailin Perez versus Joselyn Edwards was one of the best fights on the card. Mitch Raposo, Lima, there was a lot of craziness at that one, even with the Rennie Brown fight too, with the eye pokes. And isn't that kind of crazy? That's so unfortunate. Like, we get the new gloves, and the very first fight that gets to use it, right? The first fighters that get to use it, you get multiple eye pokes. Lima cheated all the way. This guy went from getting bitten to joining the Cheaters Club, missing weight by 4 pounds, poking Raposo in the eye multiple times, grabbing onto the fence. He did do some stuff, I think, in his last one too. It's like, what is going on here? Right? I thought this guy had something going for him. He took this fight up pretty quickly, quick turnaround, and just cheated along the way. 4 pounds is just absolutely unacceptable. How do you miss weight by 4 pounds? That most likely means you didn't even try to get there. You got down to a weight and you're like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna make 125, so might as well just stop here. That's what it seemed like Lima did, and he got the win. Rennie Brown also with eye pokes, and I don't know what's up with Herb Dean and his hard warnings. Like, dude, take a point away when people are eye poking. There was a lot of just like average or decent fights, and I'd probably just give it a 5 out of 10 for that. But we're gonna start with that main event. Islam Makhachev defeats Dustin Poirier by a 5th round submission, 2 minutes and 42 seconds into the round. He's 26-1. He has the longest win streak in lightweight history with 14. He tied the record with 3 title defenses. He's getting very close to being the greatest lightweight of all time. He's not there yet. I still think Khabib is greater, and I also think Khabib is a better fighter than Islam. I mean, doesn't this Dustin fight kind of prove that? This Dustin Poirier is not as good as the Dustin that fought Khabib. And Islam, even though he won the fight, there were moments where it was a bit competitive, With Khabib finished him in the 3rd round. Islam got cut open. Multiple of his takedowns were defended. He got reversed by that switch at one point, where that switch did not even work on Khabib, if you guys remember that. There's just a lot of evidence that shows that Khabib is a better fighter than Islam. And I've held this opinion for so many years. I think I answered a question about that on my podcast too, about a year ago or so, and I still hold the same opinion. Khabib, I believe, is the best lightweight of all time in terms of like skills and what he's able to do. Islam is absolutely elite, and that is why I think with another title defense, he could surpass Khabib. If he defends against Armin, what do you guys think? If he beats Armin, breaks the title defense record with 4, extends his win streak to 15, would that bump him above Khabib in all-time greatness? The biggest thing that goes against Islam is how many short notice opponents he's had, right? With the second Volkanovski fight, which I don't think changes too much considering that the fight only lasted 1 round and it was a technical deficiency of Alexander Volkanovski's stand-up, where Islam was able to catch him with the head kick, and Volk has shown the vulnerability to head kicks for a long time. And in fact, even in the first fight, Islam nearly caught him clean with a few head kicks. But then again, if he did have a proper training camp, perhaps Volkanovski would have a better game plan going into this, and maybe would have anticipated some head kicks or knees or stuff like that. The other thing about that is, though, Volk did say that he was mentally and like strategically prepared for Islam. He was thinking about him along the way. It wasn't just like sporadic and, you know, out of nowhere now he has to fight Islam, he's not ready for it. The only part it seemed like he wasn't ready for was the physicality. But again, it was more like a technical thing when we're looking at the head kick, you know. But that is a short notice opponent. You had Bobby Green, you had Dan Hooker. I think it's pretty close, man. If Islam beats Arman, him and Khabib are going to be in discussion for the greatest lightweight of all time. But in terms of this fight with Dustin Poirier, I mean, great effort from Dustin. It looks like he might retire. It was his last title shot. He's in his mid-30s. I just want to see him fight again, man. Dustin is still a very good fighter. He's not like a completely washed and shell of his former self. I think he still have a good fight with like Conor McGregor. Maybe fight Colby Covington. We know Colby's been calling him out for a while. Or like Alexander Volkanovski. How insane would that fight be in the future? Dustin versus Volk. There's still some fights for Dustin I would love to see, but if he hangs it up, he had a legendary career. One of the greatest fighters in the sport to never win an undisputed title. And his resume is so strong, I would even hold him above certain champions. That's how good Dustin was, man. But in terms of their next fight, I think Islam should fight Arman Tsarukyan. I know he wants to go up to welterweight and fight Leon or Bilal, whoever has the belt. But the thing is, if he goes up to 170 next, it log jams the lightweight and welterweight divisions from Arman getting a title shot and Shavkat Rakhmonov or Jack Della Maddalena from getting a title shot at welterweight. If the champions of both of those divisions fight the next contender after, then they'd be ready for each other in a super fight. There's no other fight I would rather see Islam in than against Leon. But I think, just to be fair for the weight classes, he should fight Arman next, and I do think he beats him. Arman has been talking a lot. He's been calling his shots. He wants to go up against Islam, but I think Islam gets through him. I think Leon beats Bilal. Leon versus Shavkat after would be very, very interesting. That's not an easy fight. And then the winner of those, I think, should fight each other in a super fight. Unless somehow Arman beats Islam and Shavkat beats Leon, then all that gets thrown out the window. And if Dustin Poirier decides to continue to fight, I would love to see him fight Conor again. And then we go to the co-main event. Sean Strickland defeats Paulo Costa by a decision, split decision. There was an actual scorecard with Paulo Costa winning by 49-46. I am not kidding. That has to be one of the worst scorecards in MMA history. What 4 rounds? Was it rounds 6, 7, and 8, and 9? Like, which rounds did Paulo Costa win? I can see him winning 1 round in the fight with Strickland. I had Sean Strickland winning either 49-46 or 50-45. Nothing else. And that was the other thing about this card. The scorecards were horrible. Some of the worst we've ever seen, and we got like 2 or 3 of them on the same card. That's crazy. But the interesting part of this fight was how Strickland was able to back up Paulo Costa so effortlessly. I thought that Paulo Costa would be the one that pushes the pace early on, but almost immediately, from the first round all the way to the end of the fight, Sean Strickland was the aggressor. He was the one that was pushing the pace. He was the one that's walking Paulo Costa back. You guys saw those checked kicks? Paulo Costa was limping in there, and as soon as that happened to him, it looked like he didn't know what to do. Barely any punches were getting through. Most were just leg kicks, and at a certain point, Strickland was defending those. Now, even though Strickland won, he barely put any offense out there. I mean, he even said it himself. It was a boring fight. I wish he threw more jabs, more straights. I mean, Paulo Costa is so defenseless against the jab. I was very shocked Strickland didn't throw more of it because he was landing them when he did throw them. And I think that would have zapped more out of Paulo Costa, but crazy enough, Strickland threw over 300 strikes in the fight. I don't know how they counted over 300, but that has to be like a low for Sean Strickland, right? Because that was one of the most inactive performances I've seen from him. He was way more active against Dricus, way more active against Adesanya. And I think it's because of the power puncher element of Paulo Costa, right? He doesn't want to walk into shots, considering that he's lost to some of these guys before. Power punchers are stylistically some of Strickland's hardest fights. With Alex Pereira, with Jared Cannonier, that was a back and forth competitive fight. Dricus du Plessis, even though a lot of people do believe Strickland beat him, but these are like his hardest fights to win. And I think he wanted to fight this one a little bit more strategic. I could be wrong on that, but that's what it seemed like. Not put himself into too much danger and run into something crazy from Paulo Costa. But eventually he did go that route at the end of the fight. He needed to expend some of that energy. And what we saw in that 5th round when he actually was putting it on Costa, it made us think, what if he just did that every round? Like at the end of every round, if he just started rushing down Paulo Costa like that, because Costa had nothing for him. He didn't throw anything back. It reminded me kind of like when Adesanya was watching Strickland at the end of their fight, when Strickland was swinging at him, and he even got to a point where Paulo Costa was shooting takedowns. It's good to mix it up, but there was no way he was taking Strickland down. That is not happening. Strickland has good takedown defense and even better ability to get up from the bottom. But yeah, not too much to say about this fight. It wasn't as exciting as we all thought it was going to be, but at the very least for Sean Strickland, he got another notable opponent under his belt, building up his resume, and he's 100% next, I think, for a title shot. Not the kind of performance you want to see out of him, but I thought he should have fought for the belt regardless, without even going up against Costa. But you know what's going to happen. If Khamzat beats Whitaker, they're going to give it to Khamzat. If Khamzat beats Whitaker, I think it should be Khamzat versus the winner of Imavov and Cannonier in a number 1 contender fight, and then have Strickland fight for the title next. And as for Paulo Costa, he's now 1-4 in his last 5 fights. I think he should fight someone like Jack Hermanson or Roman Dolidze or someone like that, or maybe even Caio Barallo, right? Twins. The brute Paulo Costa versus the intelligent, nerdy Paulo Costa. That'd be pretty fun. And then we go to Kevin Holland defeating Michal Oleksiejczuk by a submission in the first round with an armbar, and it looked like he snapped his arm, but then I hear people saying that it actually wasn't broken. I was very confused because everybody was saying on the commentary that his arm snapped, and it did look like it snapped. It was so bent backwards. If they said it broke, I believe it, right? But maybe it just hyperextended and it wasn't really as bad as we thought it was, but I don't know if Michal was getting out of that armbar. Shocking, because Michal was actually putting it on Holland early on, putting the pressure on him, throwing them hands, cracked him with the right hook as Holland was throwing the kick, causing himself to be a bit off balance. And I don't know if they count those as knockdowns. If someone's on one leg throwing a kick and they get punched, they fall to the ground, is it a knockdown? I don't know, but it was definitely a big shot, so I can see it definitely for this one. Even Kevin Holland acknowledged that punch. And if that's the case, is that the first time Holland got knocked down in a fight? Besides the headbutt thing with Dawkins? Who should they fight next? I honestly like Kevin Holland more at welterweight. I know he's saying he wants to bounce around. I think a fight between him and Chris Curtis would actually be really fun. Or they can give him the winner of Nick Diaz and Vicente Luque, considering that Luque is ranked. If Nick Diaz beats Luque, Nick Diaz will be ranked most likely, right next to Kevin Holland. Then Niko Price defeats Alex Morono by a decision. The biggest upset on the card. So he won both their fights. He won the first and the rematch. First time he was a short notice replacement, and for the second fight, Alex Morono was a short notice replacement. Niko won both of them. That's crazy. He's just a better fighter and just a more aggressive and powerful fighter. It looked like Alex Morono could even hurt him. I was completely wrong about Niko Price's chin. I thought his chin would be washed at this point. See him how he got knocked out by Robbie Lawler so easily. I thought it was done for Niko Price. I thought he couldn't take a punch anymore. But Morono just couldn't hurt him. And every single time Niko Price laid his hands on Morono, it was just a whole different kind of impact. Taking him down over and over again, especially in that second round. Out wrestling him completely and not even worrying too much about the grappling. Solid performance by Niko Price. Nothing too technical. Then we go to Randy Brown defeating Zaleski dos Santos by a decision. It was a good performance by Randy Brown, outside of getting his back taken and almost choked out, and the eye pokes. And in the third round, strangely gave up his back, got taken down for it, and Zaleski was trying to get the hooks in, but Randy Brown did enough to win the fight. He landed really good knees. He had some good jabs here and there, and the way he was able to reverse the second round back take from Zaleski was actually pretty nice. Turning inside of it, using that left underhook to push Zaleski closer to the fence. Zaleski gives up his back. Randy Brown jumps on top of it. Randy Brown's really talented, man. He's got some good quality, but does make big technical mistakes. Like when he turned his back to Zaleski in that third round, I thought he was going to get taken down and submitted. Then we go to Roman Kopylov defeating Cesar Almeida by a split decision. One judge actually gave it 29-28 to Almeida. Bro got taken down left and right. He got caught clean. I think it was in the first round. Roman Kopylov caught him with the straight as Cesar Almeida was throwing the light kick, and that punch whiplashed Almeida's head. Like you could see his entire head turn from that punch. And even though we don't see a lot of wrestling out of Roman Kopylov, he's mostly a striker. He's Russian. All Russians know how to wrestle. And Roman was landing a lot of good double legs, man. Powerful shots. He did have some decent footwork, but Almeida was catching him, I believe it was in the third round, with some of those hooks. Kopylov was able to take those, eventually transition back to the takedowns, and got a decent win. Chase Hooper's killing the game, man. This guy's fighting in like 4 different weight classes. Then we go to Jailton Almeida submitting Alexander Romanov in the first round by a rear naked choke. This was really fast. It's so disappointing with Romanov. For like one fight, this guy came in shape, like in actually really good shape, and that was it. We'll never see that version of him ever again. He came out there, threw a leg kick, Jailton Almeida caught it, single legged him, took him to the ground, Eventually got him to give up his back, got the rear naked choke. Easy work for Jailton Almeida. But what do you do with Almeida next? I'm thinking the winner of Pavlovich and Volkov. Or you can give him Cyril Gane. I'd much rather watch that than Cyril Gane versus Marcin Tybura. They should book that. Cyril Gane versus Jailton Almeida, striker versus grappler matchup. That's an interesting fight. Then we're going to Grant Dawson defeating Joe Solecki by a decision. Bro was literally taking Solecki down like 30 seconds into every round. But in the first, he almost got submitted by the guillotine. Apart from that, Grant Dawson did a really good job of holding top position. I like to see more of that tenacity from him to get the takedowns, where that was missing in the Bobby Green fight. Just not the most exciting kind of fight to watch, in my opinion. Then we're going to Jake Matthews defeating Philip Rowe by a decision. Jake Matthews' striking looked on point in this one, man. A lot of good blitzing. Rowe's offense from range was pretty decent, but his defense wasn't all there. He tried to skip away, he tried to shoulder roll a couple times, and Jake Matthews just exploding on him. But the crazy thing about that fight was in the third round, where it looked like Philip Rowe messed up with the takedown. He had no drive in it after connecting with Jake Matthews. Matthews took him to the ground, muscled him down, but then Rowe easily reversed him, easily flipped him over. Matthews gave up his back, Rowe was trying to get the hooks in, and that all backfired on Rowe when Jake Matthews was able to reverse him and eventually go for the guillotine. Good performance by Jake Matthews, man. Then we go to the best fight of the entire card. Bassil Hafez defeating Mickey Gall by a decision. I thought Bassil Hafez clearly won the fight. It was competitive. Way more competitive than we thought it was going to be. Bassil Hafez was one of the biggest favorites on the card, and everybody was overlooking Mickey Gall. Understandably, to be honest, I mean, the guy hasn't fought that much, hasn't fought in over 2 years, known for just his jiu-jitsu, really not too much striking to him, but he improved a lot in his boxing. Not to say that he's some like world-class boxer now, but where he was at before, he made giant strides, being a lot more confident in his 1-2s, being a lot more confident in just throwing out the jab and exchanging with his opponent and not being wild while doing it. He showed a good chin. He ate some very big shots, especially in that first round by Hafez, and doing a great job at catching Hafez on those exits, right? Whenever Hafez is trying to exit or disengage from Mickey Gall, Hafez was open to get hit by those long punches. And I respect Bassil Hafez for not trying to take the fight to the ground constantly. And at the end, he wanted to stand up and just go toe-to-toe Max Holloway style. You gotta respect him, man. The guy came to bring on a show, and he definitely delivered, man. Both of them did. But competitively, Bassil Hafez was the guy that gave a very close fight with Jack Della Maddalena. We do have to remember, though, Jack cut weight twice in a very short amount of time, and that'll impact any fighter, man. Bassil Hafez did take the fight up on short notice. He did gas out. Jack was pulling those guillotines when he shouldn't have. I don't think he knew too much about Hafez. I don't think he knew that Hafez was a pretty good wrestler, explosive guy, and just game, man. But great performance by both fighters, man. Ailin Perez defeating Joselyn Edwards by a decision. Seeing her rock Edwards with the spinning back fist was kind of crazy, man. But I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard to focus during that fight. There was a lot of movement going on. No, but Ailin Perez looked pretty decent, had some good takedowns in there, moving pretty well, and made Edwards fight her fight. And then Andre Lima defeating Mitch Raposo by a decision. What is there to say that I haven't said already? I mean, this guy came in missing weight, came in eye poking, came in fence grabbing, but had some good technique, man. His kicks were pretty nice. Raposo showed some good boxing, but I just wish he put more combinations together than he did. Put the pressure on Andre Lima, take away his kicks, barrage him with like a 3-4 punch combination, going from body to head to body or head to body to head, just mixing it up. So yeah, UFC 302, not the greatest card, but it did have some good performances throughout. It's always nice to see Islam and Dustin fight. Very high level fighters. I haven't checked, but I hope Gall and Hafez did get fight of the night. They absolutely deserve it. And I wonder if Jailton Almeida got the performance of the night. Wouldn't that be kind of crazy after like what everybody's been saying about Almeida being boring and all that sort of stuff, and then his next fight he gets performance of the night? But I hope you guys enjoyed the fights. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give this a like, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which is probably going to be the podcast episode.